back for the next lesson, Unit 15, from your Junior Reading Expert book on the environment. So once again, I'm going to read page 64 out loud. I want you to listen carefully to the way I pronounce these words. If you hear a word that is unfamiliar or you don't know how to pronounce it, you can pause the video at any time and practice saying that word as many times as you want. Also, if you don't understand something in the story, you can listen as many times as you need to. Before we begin, I'm going to read the before reading question. Do you think that travel to natural areas to see wildlife is good or bad? Now, what's important about this question is not whether or not you think it's good or bad. It's to imagine what we're going to read about. The title says environment, and the question is asking, do we think travel to wild areas is a good thing or a bad thing? So now, because of this question, we can kind of imagine or predict what we're going to read about. I think we're going to read an opinion paper about the good parts and bad parts of traveling to wild areas. We'll probably hear some pros and some cons, good things and bad things about traveling to see wildlife. So now I'm going to go ahead and start reading. Just follow along with me, and then afterwards we will answer some comprehension questions together. Here we go. Imagine waking up in a hotel in Kenya. You have a full day of adventure planned. A guide will take you to see local animals, including elephants, lions, and zebras in their natural habitats. This is an example of ecotourism, a way of seeing the wonders of the natural world up close without harming the environment. Every year, millions of people participate in ecotourism. Many people say that these activities help protect these areas. However, some researchers are blank. They believe that tourists are causing problems for animals. For example, sea turtles in Costa Rica recently had problems laying their eggs because too many tourists came to watch them. Also, regular interaction with kind humans might cause animals to become less careful. This could make them easier targets for predators. Because of these negative effects, we need to take a careful approach to ecotourism. We must understand how different species will respond to human visitors, and we must make sure that human contact does not put animals at risk in any way. Okay, before we answer comprehension questions, let's stop and think about what we just read. We just read about the environment and something called ecotourism. Ecotourism is one word that can easily be divided into two smaller words, like eco, meaning the environment, and tourism, meaning when we travel to visit other places. You can imagine that when we travel to another place to see the wildlife, like for example, when we go to Africa on safari to see zebras and giraffes and lions, we are participating in ecotourism. This passage is about how ecotourism could be good or bad for many different reasons. Some of the reasons why ecotourism might be good is because when we spend our money to go see animals in their natural habitat, people use that money to protect those animals' homes. So when we go scuba diving in the ocean to see turtles and fish, the money that we spend to go to those places, researchers and wildlife protection agents take that money to make sure that the ocean stays clean so that those animals can live. But on the bad side, sometimes when humans interact too much with wild animals, it can make them, maybe they won't be as afraid of humans as they should, which means that they don't react quickly enough when predators want to hurt them. So they're actually in danger of being hurt because they've been around humans too much. So now that we've thought about what our reading means and we've summarized it in our head, now we can start answering comprehension questions, okay? So let's take a look at our first question together. Number 1, what is the passage mainly about? Again, before we answer this question, we should think about what we just read and then try to eliminate any answers that don't make sense. So here are our options. Number 1, reasons why people travel. Number 2, an example of ecotourism. Number 3, negative effects of ecotourism. Number 4, how to interact with wild animals. Okay, so let's eliminate answers that don't make sense. Let's think. Number 1, reasons why people travel. That doesn't make sense as the main idea of this passage because we aren't actually learning much about people. We're learning more about animals. We don't really need to know why people travel. That's not what this is telling us. This is telling us about how when people travel, it can be harmful to animals. So that's not really the answer. Number 2, an example of ecotourism. This could be tricky. Maybe I think that number 2 is the answer because of the word ecotourism. I remember that I read about ecotourism, so if I'm in a hurry, I might just choose answer 2. But here's why number 2 is not the answer. Because an example, only one example of ecotourism. That's not true. We learned about 2 examples of ecotourism, remember? We learned about ecotourism in Kenya, where you go see zebras and elephants in their natural habitat. We also learned about turtles in Costa Rica. So that's more than one example, so we can't really say that 2 is the correct choice. Number 3, negative effects of ecotourism. We definitely learned some negative effects of ecotourism. We learned that turtles who interact with humans aren't able to lay their eggs easily, and that animals who spend too much time around humans are in danger of being hurt by predators. So these are definitely examples of negative effects. Number 4, how to interact with wild animals. I know that that's not true because this reading is telling us that we should not interact with wild animals. So we should choose option 3. Number 1, the answer is 3. Okay? Number 2, according to the passage, ecotourism is blank. Number 1, a campaign to protect endangered animals. Number 2, volunteer work involving planting trees for environment. Number 3, an activity in which tourists experience the lifestyle of local people. Number 4, a way to visit beautiful parts of the world without damaging them. Okay, here's what I want to do. I want to look for the keyword ecotourism in the passage and see if there's a definition that I can use to help me choose. It says this is an example of ecotourism. Okay, we found our keyword, ecotourism, right here. The word this is a clue. It's at the beginning of this sentence. It tells us that whatever happened before this sentence gives us our definition of ecotourism. Imagine waking up in a hotel in Kenya. You have a full day of adventure planned. A guide will take you to see local animals, including elephants, lions, and zebras in their natural habitats. Oh, this is an example of ecotourism. This, where we go see animals in their natural habitats. Now let's think one more time about our choices. It doesn't sound like ecotourism is a campaign to protect endangered animals. Number 1 seems like a good choice because it's about endangered animals, so maybe we want to choose that one. But the word campaign means that we are trying to spread awareness about endangered animals, and that's not really what ecotourism is. Number 2, volunteer work involving planting trees for the environment. Well, that's not what we're looking for because we just read about animals, not trees. Number 3, an activity in which tourists experience the lifestyle of local people. That's not true. That's not the right answer because, again, we learned about animals, not local people. Number 4, a way to visit beautiful parts of the world without damaging them. Our answer is number 4 because we're learning about ecotourism is about how we can visit places where animals live and not hurt the environment or the animals. So for number 2, the answer is 4. All right, number 3. What is the best choice for the blank A? Let's read one more time that sentence. We want to read the sentence before and the sentence after as well to try and think about what the answer could be. Here we go. Many people say that these activities help protect these areas. However, some researchers are blank. They believe that tourists are causing problems for animals. Okay, let's look at our options. Number 3. What is the best choice for the blank A? Number 1, encouraged. Number 2, honest. Number 3, faithful. Or number 4, doubtful. Okay, we need to eliminate answers that don't make sense. I'm going to say the answer is not number 1, encouraged. Let's read. The best strategy for answering this question is to put all of our options in the blank, read the sentence out loud, and see if it makes sense. Okay, many people say that these activities help protect these areas. However, some researchers are encouraged. They believe that tourists are causing problems for animals. Does that make sense? Encouraged means that they are happy, hopeful, ready to believe that this is working. Well, that's not what they're saying. If they believe tourists are causing problems for animals, then the word encouraged doesn't really make sense. Number 2, honest. Many people say that these activities help protect these areas. However, some researchers are honest. They believe that tourists are causing problems for animals. Researchers might be honest, but that's not what they're trying to say. They're trying to say that tourists are causing problems. So researchers being honest doesn't really explain that idea. It's not helping. That's not the right answer. All right, number 3, faithful. Many people say that these activities help protect these areas. However, some researchers are faithful. They believe that tourists are causing problems for animals. Faithful means to believe, okay? So researchers are believing. That doesn't make sense. Again, we're trying to explain that researchers don't believe that tourists are helping animals. Last option, option 4, doubtful, means to have doubts or to disbelieve, not believe. Many people say that these activities help protect these areas. However, some researchers are doubtful. They believe that tourists are causing problems for the animals. This makes sense, okay? So we're going to choose option 4 because we're trying to explain that researchers don't believe that ecotourism actually helps animals. They think the opposite. They think it doesn't help animals. That's why the answer for number 3 is 4. Okay? Number 4, sea turtles in Costa Rica had trouble laying their eggs because. Okay, with a fill in the blank question, the way we find the answer is by matching keywords, okay? The keywords in the question, sea turtles in Costa Rica had trouble. We can find the word trouble when we find, and then we will find the answer. Let's look back here. For example, sea turtles in Costa Rica recently had trouble, problems. Okay, so in reading this, you have to be able to identify the keyword trouble and problems being similar to each other. Trouble and problems are synonyms. Laying their eggs because, here's our answer. Too many tourists came to watch them. Okay, so when we write our answer for question 4, we just say because too many tourists came to watch them. Okay? Because too many tourists came to watch them. Number 5. What is mentioned as a negative effect of ecotourism? Again, we need to find the keywords in the reading. Negative effect ecotourism? Here are our options. Number 1, it costs too much. Number 2, it causes global warming. Number 3, it is hard for tourists to concentrate on their trip. Number 4, it makes animals more likely to be killed by predators. Okay, let's look. Negative effects. So we have 2 paragraphs. That talk about the negative effects. First negative effect, sea turtles had problems laying their eggs because too many tourists came to watch them. In the last paragraph, we learn about the second problem. Also, regular interaction with kind humans might cause animals to become less careful. This could make them easier targets for predators. It's right there. So the answer is option 4. Okay, and last question, number 6. What does the writer suggest we do? Choose 2. Let's look at our options. We should learn how animals react to humans. Number 2, we should take a class to learn about wild animals. Number 3, we should wear special clothing to avoid harming nature. Number 4, we should make sure humans are not a danger to animals. Let's go back to our reading and look at the suggestions. Because of these negative effects, we need to take a careful approach to ecotourism. We must understand how different species will respond to human visitors. And we must make sure that human contact does not put animals at risk in any way. Okay, options 1, we should learn how animals react to humans. And option 4, we should make sure humans are not a danger to animals, are our best options. Okay, so here are your answers for page 65. Remember, you need to answer the questions on page 66 and 67 by yourself. Debbie Teacher will send you the answer key, and I want you to take a picture of your books, send them to me so that I can check that you've completed your work. Okay guys, thank you so much for listening and watching the video. Have a good day and stay safe. Bye.